Organizations reward tactical excellence, but they promote strategic visibility. The thing that you are often praised for, that very thing, is the same thing that is quietly holding you back. What if the dream that you've been holding on to has already finished? Some of the advice that you are currently following also is the thing that's really slowing your career down. Welcome to the Climb Podcast, where we are diving into taboo topics and redefining the rules for women of color leaders. Get ready as we share the stories and amplify the voices of extraordinary women of color. From navigating workplace challenges to celebrating triumphs, on this podcast, we've got you covered. So buckle up and join us as we embark on today's empowering journey. This season of the Climb Podcast was deeply personal for me. We talked about burnout, we talked about visibility, career stagnation, leadership, communication, career gaps, identity, and what it really means to grow as a woman of color inside systems that were never fully designed for us. So for this finale of season 6, we pulled together the moments that hit the hardest, the truths, the lessons, the conversations women told me they needed the most. This is the best of season 6. But here's what no one told me. Organizations reward tactical excellence, but they promote strategic visibility. We cannot afford to be excellent and invisible. Leadership isn't about talent. It's about proximity. It's about visibility. It's about who advocates for you when you're not in the room. I had become what you consider too good at my job, which when do you hear someone say, hey, I've become too good at my job? But it is something that can happen. Organizations protect the systems that work. So if you are a system that work and you're a cash cow and you're making money for the organization, they're going to keep you right there. Because the truth of the matter is your career is always sending you signals. And once many of us finally got access, we realized nobody taught us how power actually worked. I didn't understand the room I was sitting in. And the truth is, the table has rules. Every table has a playbook of sorts. So number one, there's always a decision-making structure, and that not everyone at that table has the same level of influence. The second truth is the loudest voice is not always the most influential. As a matter of fact, typically the loudest voice is not always the most influential. There'll be people who will talk a lot, and then there'll be people who barely speak. And then there'll be people that when they do speak, everyone listens. Do not confuse the volume with influence. The unspoken matter just as much, and context matters. Because every time you speak, you are shaping perception, establishing credibility, and defining your presence. I remember like one of my first times, in a meeting and preparing for a presentation, I was prepared, I felt knowledgeable. But when I had the opportunity to speak, I said what I thought needed to be said, but it didn't really land with the room. When you speak, you should be bringing clarity. You could potentially shift a direction. And when you're speaking, you should be adding insight that no one else has offered, not just speaking to prove that you're right or that you're there. People don't remember how many times you spoke. They remember what mattered when you did. And while many women were trying to prove they belonged, the cost quietly started catching up.
But it was the moment where I literally got on the Trader Joe's website and was about to apply for a job at Trader Joe's and leave medicine altogether. And I was like, oh, something is really wrong here. Not all success looks alike. And people can be like, oh, you're a doctor, you can buy this and that and that. And I'm like, yeah, I can. But to me, success is working 3 days a week. To me, it's waking up slowly without an alarm clock more days than not. That 5-to-2 ratio is not working for me. I need more non-alarm clock days. I need midweek grocery shopping. I need to actually be able to make appointments and keep them. I wish somebody would have told me that being exhausted is not a badge of honor. But I think that so many of us are like, "How you doing?" "I'm tired, but it's okay. I'm exhausted, but it's fine." We always say that we're tired or we need a break, but God is good, life is good, I can't complain, whatever. And it's fine. Like, yes, life is good, but also you need a break. It gets to the point where like even things that you once enjoyed doing feel heavy or like a big chore. My burnout revealed to me that I like lost myself on my journey, on my climb, on my high achieving hustle, focus. And it came down to like a simple question of like, who are you? We go so quick into our titles, our degrees, our roles in the family. And it's like, no, at the end of the day, what do those things say about who you are as a person? But you can burn out on something that you love. So maybe it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. Like maybe you're running a nonprofit, maybe you're an educator. Like these things, they will burn you out.
At some point, being everything was the cost of being included. And I want you to sit with that because I think a lot of us hold that true more than we know. Somewhere along the way, busyness became this badge of honor. If I'm busy, I'm valuable. If my calendar is filled, then I must be important. I have to be overwhelmed to be considered doing something. Busyness is costing you more than your time because it's not really just about schedule. It's about what is costing you deeper. There's something deeper to when you're always busy all the time. And particularly for women of color, there is a whole added layer because we're not just sitting in these meetings, we're reading the room, we're managing dynamics, we're translating the culture and carrying things. We're carrying the water on behalf of ourselves, on behalf of others, less energy to be productive. We spend our career really trying to prove that we belong. So you're always climbing, you're always trying to do a thing to prove a thing. And it's exhausting to do it all the time. You have to know what matters and you have to have the courage to let go of what doesn't. Because your legacy will not be how busy you were. Your legacy will be the impact that you made. And for many of us, survival eventually turns into a deeper question. Who am I becoming? What if the dream that you've been holding on to has already finished? What if the thing that you thought you were building up to, you're already there, you're at the top, and you're thinking to yourself, now what? And what if the thing that you thought was supposed to be the pinnacle or the end is really just the beginning of your journey? And what you defined as the pinnacle or the climax really was to prepare you for the skills you needed and to see the bigger picture. But growth will ask us a different question than the questions we asked to climb the ladder. A growth season will challenge you to ask the question, does this fit the woman that I'm becoming? Does this fit the woman that I'm becoming? Not the woman that I used to be, not the woman that I am now. Does this fit the woman that I'm becoming? I really gave myself the permission to evolve. Evolving is not quitting, it's growing. Often we think about career gaps. We think about someone making a choice to do a thing or, hey, I took some time off to be a mom or I took some time off to do a thing. But what we found, Black women lost their jobs.
So there are a lot of different things that could come into play into, why gaps may happen. And in terms of what your resume should look like, some examples of when to use certain things or when to do things differently, kind of depending on what the gap may be. The gap is not you. It's temporary, it's a moment in time, and you are looking to get to your next opportunity. So do not let that gap get you stuck.
A lot of career advice that we were given was just designed for us to get access and to get our feet in the door. Being dependable, working hard, being the person they can rely on, that type of advice is really about access. I get the job, I do the job, they know that I'm here, They know that I'm going to do it. That is just designed for access, but it's not designed for advancement, and particularly for women of color who are advancing, because many of us, again, were taught, don't rock the boat, be grateful for the opportunity, prove yourself first, and then do it again, and then do it again. What you are doing isn't inherently bad or wrong. The advice that you followed, it worked the way it was supposed to, for the season it was supposed to, for the place it was supposed to. It got you where you are. But getting here and then moving forward, different strategy. So the questions you should be asking yourself isn't, are you working hard enough? The question is, am I working in a way that actually moves me forward? Because some advice will get you in the door, but different thinking, that is how you really move forward. Season 6 was about telling the truth about leadership, about burnout, about positioning, about identity, about growth, but most importantly, about the realities that we face as women of color, navigating every single day in workplaces where the rules are rarely explained. Thank you so much for climbing with me this season. And remember, we are not just climbing careers, we are building ladders. Until season 7, keep climbing, keep striving, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning into the Climb Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on wherever you listen to podcasts. For updates and behind-the-scenes content, make sure you're following us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Join the Climb. Until next time, keep climbing and keep thriving, sis. See you next episode.